What is up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. The Arnold Classic is coming up and I'm very motivated. And today is a chest workout, making sure that chest absolutely will be as big as possible at the contest. Today I'm actually training with two people who traveled for a long time to train with me. This is Menno right here, and this training was actually a gift for his birthday given by his training partner, Bas. So those two guys drove to me and we were now training chest together. So I've been teaching them the right ways to train the chest. For example, letting the bar drop to their chest, and as you can see, they are wearing Vintage Genetics apparel. He is wearing shoes, Menno is wearing the shirt, of course, which I appreciate a whole lot. Trust me, it's really still surreal to see people wear and support your brand. So that's amazing. So anyway, we're starting out with the bench press. Always, in my opinion, hold the bar pretty wide, because then, in my opinion, you stretch the chest way more than if you wouldn't, and you cannot really touch your chest as well if you don't go as wide. So this exercise is a stretch exercise mostly, because you cannot fully contract the chest, so it really is necessary to really grab the bar at least wider than shoulder width, and that way you stretch out the chest, maximizing that effect in the chest. And here you can see that when doing the bench press, it's always needed to have a good spotter with you to actually grab the bar when it goes wrong, because this is one of the most sensitive exercises for the chest that there is. So make sure to really do this exercise safely. And what I told him is to really go slow on the negative a couple of times to really ensure the maximum breakdown of the muscle. If you have a spotter, you can do this. So, and you will see this guy, he has right shoulder problems, and that's why you really have to watch this barbell, and you can see it during the last few reps. The right shoulder is going to give up a little bit, so that's why you really have to pay attention to seeing what happens. As you can see, the bar is not traveling in a straight path, and here you can really see that the right shoulder was about to give up right here, and then you really got to have a spotter to save you, because that could have been an injury. And then it is time for me to do set number 3. I always, when doing the bench press, do a lot of warm-up sets, at least 2 or 3 warm-up sets that I don't count as working sets. And then set number 1, once properly warmed up, will be the first working set. And I always try to do at least 10 to 12 reps on at least 4 sets of the barbell press, the bench press. And then at the last set, I'll be around 8 or maybe 6 reps if I go for strength. So here, during the last set, to really get a good pump in the chest, and this is for people who have trouble feeling the chest during the bench press, you really activate the chest by going down slowly. So when you go slowly on the eccentric movement of the rep, you damage more muscle fibers. As you can see right here, the eccentric motion is stronger, at the same time more damaging to the muscle. So if you have a spotter like I am right now, you can help the person on the concentric motion, and then on the eccentric motion, let them do all the work. And then you really finish off the chest to the max. If you go as slow as possible on the eccentric, you will work it for damn sure. And you can see he's really going to failure for real, and that is when the chest is fully worked during the bench press. So again, for people who have trouble feeling the chest, pumping the chest up, make sure to work out with a training partner, and the last set of the bench press, even though the last set before this was very heavy and very difficult, do a lighter weight, like around 30% lighter, and then go really slow on the negative, and you can feel that chest pumping up with blood. If you have a spotter that will help you on a concentric motion, then you will be able to go through and past the failure point way further than you could without one.
Kom op. Je blijft bijten. Kom op, naar beneden.
And now it is time for the incline bench press on the Smith machine, and I like to do this on the Smith machine because then you can get the full stretch in the upper chest, and trust me, it feels different from doing the barbell press without the Smith machine. You can get a full stretch of the upper chest without the risk of injuring your shoulders or without having to balance. And you wouldn't even need a spotter really for this exercise because you're always saved by the Smith machine system. But you can simply lock the bar in place when you hit failure. That's why when I train alone, I like to do this exercise quite a lot. Here you can see you shouldn't start out too heavy, but you have to go all the way down, right under your chin, hit the upper chest, let the bar hit the upper chest, and once you do this with a very wide grip, once again to maximize the stretch, you will feel a sensation only in the upper chest fibers that you normally do not feel when training chest. Try this exercise out and you will definitely notice the difference. And also the benefit of the Smith machine is that you can eventually go quite heavy without the danger of, of course you fail, but without the danger of actually injuring yourself, because the bar path is always going to be the same, so you cannot really injure your shoulders in such a way that the bar is traveling in a different path and you have to compensate with your shoulders. That doesn't happen, which is of course the benefit of a Smith machine. So a lot of people say Smith machine is for beginners, is not for building real muscle, but when combining it with loose exercises, free weights, you will feel the difference for sure. And then we're going to do some seated flies, seated cable flies, and this is amazing because you only have to sit down and focus on isolating that chest. As you can see in the chest fibers, the striations, you can see that the stretch causes the striations to exist, and I've always said this, a full range of motion really increases the look of the muscle in terms of muscle quality. And right now you can see Boss doing this exercise, and what you have to be aware of is that a lot of people who haven't been training for years, who haven't been doing competitions, who haven't really driven themselves to the absolute max in terms of training, nutrition, supplements, etc., there are some things you have to learn in the gym in terms of mind-muscle connection that you have to simply experience. And here you can see that he's using a little too much shoulders in order to press the weight forward. So that's why I always say it's better to use a lighter weight to really use the muscle that you want to train instead of trying to use a heavier weight just to make the motion. So the first few reps were alright, but the last few reps were a little too shoulder dominant. And what we're training right now is the chest and not the shoulders. And that's something important that a lot of beginners, a lot of people who have even been training for a few years do have to recognize in themselves. So lower the weight, really feel the muscle that you're training, and then try to perfect the motion. And now we're going to do some body weight dips as the last chest exercise until failure. And it's perfect when you're actually training with 2 training partners, so 3 people in total. You can keep going and going. That's why it's called rotating sets. Once someone is done, the next person goes until failure, reps until failure, and then the next again to failure, and you keep rotating until you all have done 3 sets. And sometimes you can do a couple of forced reps, of course, to really maximize that muscle failure. As you can see right here, if you weigh quite heavy, of course, bodyweight dips are quite difficult, especially when your muscle mass compared to your weight isn't as significant as when you're training for 10 years. And when you do these rotating sets fast enough, you notice that you're able to do less and less reps when you hit your next set. So in set number 1, for example, you can still hit 20 reps. Set 2, you can hit maybe 12 reps. And set number 3, maybe 8 reps. And then you know you've done the training correctly, because if you still were able to do a lot of reps on all sets, that means you didn't finish off your chest well enough, and you should rethink the way that you train. And of course, after doing chest, it is time for some tricep work. This is actually a superset that I really recommend. It's a rope push down, really filling up the triceps first and then stretching out the triceps right away with an overhead rope extension, working the long head of the tricep. And this superset really works all heads of the triceps equally, which is exactly what you want for full tricep development. The perfect way of performing this particular exercise is that you want to move your upper arms a little forward, just like this indeed, to really work the long head to make it stretch at the top as well. But at the same time, an improvement of what you just saw would be to move the forearms relative to the upper arms upwards as well. Exactly how I did it, and that's the real way to perform this exercise. And it's really difficult to do this, the right way from the get-go, and that's why practice and picking a lighter weight is very important. As you can see right here, this way of performing the exercise is a little bit better. You can see that the upper arm is moving relative to the body, which means it's really activating the long head as well. And that's exactly what you want during this exercise, because the long head is the biggest part of the triceps and the biggest part of your arm that you can train. So if you want big arms, you should train that long head effectively. And again, during this one, the tricep overhead extension with the ropes, you again want to move the upper arm relative to the body to stretch that long head, which is also happening right here. And now you can again see the right way to perform the rope push down. At the very end, you move the upper arm relative to the body, stretching the long head, but also making sure that the stretch is in the short head by moving the lower arm or the forearm relative to the upper arm towards it. And that is the correct way to perform that exercise. And the same thing happens with the overhead tricep extension. And then the next exercise is a unilateral tricep exercise. At least one unilateral exercise should be done for the arms whenever you train triceps or biceps, for example, because you always want that perfect balance in both arms. If you notice, if you measure your arms, that one arm is, for example, 40 centimeters and one other arm is 39 centimeters, the only way to fix that is to work the smaller arm first, make that one stronger and bigger compared to the other arms so they are as big. So for example, if the left arm would be smaller, you start with the left arm, and even at the last set you can only do 10 reps, and with the right arm you feel you can do 12 reps, you should stop at 10 reps to be able to match the weaker arm, because if they always have a difference in power, they will always have a difference in size, and that is not what you want. And also this underhand version compared to other grips of this tricep exercise works the long head the most. And I keep saying work that long head because the rest will automatically follow. You pretty much always target all three heads, but if you really want to target the biggest part of the triceps, you have to put emphasis on that part by doing exercises like this, stretching out the long head just like this, and making sure to have different grips to maximize stimulating that part of the triceps. And also, if you cannot fully extend the arm anymore, you should go lighter, because that is what creates that muscle quality that you want to see in your muscles. If you cannot fully extend and contract the arm anymore for at least 6 or 7 reps, then you really should be going lighter on that exercise the next time, because you really want a full range of motion for a full quality of the muscle. And then a very interesting exercise to finish off the triceps that I used to do a few years ago. I showed this on my channel as well in another gym, and I started to incorporate it into my workouts again. It's an exercise that Arnold used to do, Lee Priest used to do, and a lot of different bodybuilders with great triceps. So it's a finisher for the triceps. You can do this in a Smith machine. Put the barbell at about hip height, and then you start out with a French press variation. When you hit 10 reps or go to failure, then you go to a Skullcrusher variation that you can see right here. So first with the French press you hit the long head mostly. With this one you hit the long head and the medial head mostly. And then when you hit failure on this one, or hit 10 to 12 reps, then go to part 3 of this tricep finisher, to the close grip press. This is again the easier part of this tricep finisher, and that's why it's last, to really push out every single rep you can possibly push out. And this is mostly for the medial head of the triceps. Compare this to a close grip bench press. So you can do all 3 different grips, different exercises in one long tricep finisher. So I really encourage you guys to try that one out. to get a full stretch in those triceps and a really different contraction compared to normal. And you really should do this at the end of the workout to make sure that you fully finish off the tricep in every single angle you can think of. And you can see by his face it's a very difficult exercise if done right. In my opinion, you should always make every single exercise as difficult as you can possibly make it. So the further away you are from this barbell with your feet, the more difficult it will be, because if he would stand a lot closer, the weight would actually be lighter for him. So the more difficult you can make it to make those muscles suffer, the better it is. That's why you shouldn't go with the heaviest possible weight. First go with a lighter weight to make that as difficult as possible, and automatically you will become stronger in that exercise in every single way. The muscle fibers will be strengthened, the look of the muscle will be enhanced, it will be fuller, more detailed, more quality, and you will simply be a true golden era bodybuilder. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that workout. A lot more footage is coming to you, especially more nutrition footage as I'm less than 50 days out. And to be exact, I am 46 days out from the Arnold Classic. Wow, in less than 40 days, I will be in the sky traveling half over the world to the other side of the world, to America, Columbus, Ohio, to compete against mostly Americans, and that's going to be amazing. I want to be that guy from Europe to stand on that Arnold Classic stage and surprise everyone with, you know, what we have to show, the package we have to show. And in my opinion, right now, I have the shape that I would have had around 2 to 3 weeks before a contest. And that is exactly, you know, the way that I want to be. So I'm very happy with the conditioning right now. And it's only going to get a lot better. And I know that right now I'm about 115.5 kilograms, and that is around 3.5 kilograms higher above the maximum weight that I'm allowed to weigh on stage. Because for my height, a little over 6'2" or 189 centimeters, I'm allowed to weigh 247 pounds or 112 kilograms. And at the Olympia, I was actually 2 kilograms below that weight, and I was even wearing, this shirt. I was wearing a vest, socks, etc. So it was still about 1 kilogram of weight on my body. So I still had a lot of room to improve there in terms of muscle mass. And I do believe that we will be weighing more at the Arnold Classic with a much better conditioning. However, I do notice that water weight drops really quickly with me, because right now I'm of course holding some water, still keeping the salt intake high, water intake high. I'm doing nothing to shed my water right now to be as sensitive as possible to the water shedding protocol, which will start in a few weeks to slowly get rid of the water weight to reveal the actual shape. But in terms of fat, a couple of weeks ago, I did a DEXA scan, and I also am doing skin fold measurements, and they all say that I'm around 5.3% body fat, and I want to go to around 3% at least, but that was a couple of weeks ago. So right now, I'm also going to make an appointment for a next DEXA scan. I will make a video about it and show you guys exactly the muscle mass of my entire body, the difference between the right side and the left side, the body fat percentage, etc. So if you're interested in that, make sure to watch that video. A lot of nutrition videos are coming up, a next Q&A is coming up, and simply a lot more. Wearing just straight legs, wearing the oversized scoop neck t-shirt, available on vintagegenetics.com, so make sure to check it out. And I want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.